So Saturn makes a sextile to Pluto, March 28th, 2026. So when your fear of power finally meets your need for it, right? So some of you, maybe you have spent decades calling your fear humility, being humble, down to earth, performing modestly whilst being terrified of being seen, and you may have thought it was virtue, but Saturn Sextile Pluto is reminding you it's a costume, it was never you, it was a mask. Teaching others, that power requires apology, maybe by people pleasing and always saying sorry when you're just trying to live. On March 28th, the opportunity is offered, but it's not given. You have to take it to reclaim your power and empower yourself. When Saturn sextiles Pluto, the planet of routine, discipline, karma, meeting the planet of the things that we repress and hide, and the planet that pushes us to transform. It's saying claim authority or keep performing small. Choose between the two. Or maybe for some of you, you've been hiding your power because you've been scared that you would use your power like the person who hurt you. So now you refuse it and call it, being a good person and having integrity. But you have to keep in mind, and this is what Saturn Sextile Pluto on the 28th of March is saying, what corrupts us is not power, but avoiding it whilst resenting those who have it or misusing power, right? It wants us to claim our power with integrity, and when we do this, doors will open, and, again, the choice is push through them doors or stay hidden, don't walk through them. Some of you have wrote your life where you've cast everyone else central stage in your own life, and, gave yourself the backstage crew role. And I know some of you with planets in the 12th house like to stay hidden, but it's not what that's about, stay hidden, but also, if that's what your natal chart says, but also put yourself forward in the ways you're meant to put yourself forward, right? So hiding yourself is not humility. Hiding your power is not being humble and down to earth. Self-abandonment, dressed as teamwork, is still self-neglect, right? So Saturn Sextile Pluto reminds you that you've been performing so long you forgot it's a choice. The center stage in your own production is still empty, and it asks you to step into that role, stop working backstage, step into the spotlight. So hi everyone, I'm Imani, your holistic astrological life coach, and I'm here to take a deep dive into all things Saturn Sextile Pluto on the 28th, the 28th of March 2026. So first I'm gonna, give you the snapshot of what's happening, right? So there's that transit is all about, Saturn making a sextile with Pluto. It entered on the 19th of March, or will enter on the 19th of March, depending on when you listen to this, at 10:40 GMT time. It's exact March 28th, 2026 at 10:12 PM. GMT time, and it's leaving us on April the 7th, 2026 at 4:09. And within that, we've got daylight saving time, when the clocks go forward, in the Northern Hemisphere, in the UK, Europe, all of that, on March 29th at 1 AM. So Saturn and Pluto are both slow moving planet, but Pluto's the slowest out of the two, and Saturn's in the 11th degrees of Pisces and Pluto's in the 11th degrees of Capricorn. I'm going to talk a bit more about that in depth in a while. So Saturn is in Pisces in the Uttarabhadrapada Naksatra 3, and Pluto is in the 11th degree, which is the Savana Naksatra 1 in Vedic Astrology, which is what this forecast is, right? I follow the movements of Sidereal Astrology, and I blend Western with the Sabian symbols and the Vedic Naksatras. That's basically what I do. So the aspects that Saturn makes during this time is the moon's making a sextile square to Saturn. It's also making a conjunction with the sun, and Neptune is making a quincunx to the south node, a sextile square to the ascendant, and a trine to the black moon Lilith. And then we've got Pluto making a semi-square with Mars, a trine with Uranus, a sextile with Neptune, a semi-square to Pluto, a conjunction to Juno, a square to the asteroid Ceres, and a quincunx to the south node. And then we've got some transiting aspect patterns. So we've got the south node, the midhaven in Leo, and the south node in Leo too, the black moon Lilith in Scorpio, and Mercury, Vista, and the north node in Aquarius making a T-square. Then we've got a grand trine between Mars, Pallas, Aquarius, and Jupiter. And then we've got a yard between the south node, Pluto, and Saturn, and a force hammer between the moon, the ascendant, and Saturn. And then we've got two stelliums between the sun, Saturn, Neptune in Pisces, and Mercury, Vista, and the north node in Aquarius. And don't worry, I'm just giving you the facts and I'm going to dive deep, so just stay with me. This is where I do the summary for those who just want to listen to 10-15 minutes this bit, right? And I'm just giving the shallow version, So the Sabian symbols that are affecting us is, of course, we've got Saturn in the 11th degrees of Pisces, and that has the Sabian symbol of men seeking illumination and rules the limb vessels of our foot. We've got Pluto in the 11th degree of Capricorn, and that has the Sabian symbology of pheasants, like birds, with feathers, right? Displaying their brilliant colours on a vast lawn, and it rules our left circulate ligaments. And then we've got the ascendant in Libra, and this has the Sabian symbol of information in the symbol of an autumn leaf, and this is one of my favourite Sabian symbols because the autumn leaf, and leaves have all the veins and how they connect, and if we meditate on one, all the things that may come to the surface. So this 25th degree of Libra rules the blood vessels of the renal cortex. And then we've got the moon in the 24th degrees of Cancer, and this has the Sabian symbology of a woman and two men on a bit of a sunlit land facing south, right? And this rules the blood vessels of the digestive organs. So we've got the sun at the 15th degree of Pisces as well, and this has the Sabian symbology of an officer preparing to drill his men, so sergeant preparing his men for order, right? Okay, so Saturn makes this exact sextile with Pluto at 10:12 GMT time, which is 2:12 PM on the 28th of March Pacific Standard Time, 4:12 PM Central Time, 5:12 PM Eastern Time in America, right, or if you're under that time zone, and 3:42 AM Indian Standard Time on the 29th of March, and 9:12 AM on the 29th of March in Australia, right? And in the USA, daylight saving time begins on the 8th of March, the second Sunday, and Australia daylight saving time ends on the 6th of April, which is the first Sunday. Okay, so Saturn is in the Pakara Namvasa of the Uttarabhadrapada zone. It's a nourishing zone, but debilitated in Pisces in the D9 chart, right? And then Saturn is also in Swepna, so this is the dreaming half awake state. Saturn is also at Radrada Avasta, which is the third, right, which is the outer, saying that because Saturn in Pisces, Saturn's debilitated in Aries, but in Pisces it's not the best either. So it's saying that it's got diminishing strength when this happens. A sextile happens, even though a sextile is a good thing, but we also have Pluto exercising the Piscara and the Vasa zone, so it's not as debilitating as Saturn in Pisces. And we also have Pluto at the elder state as well, the Vidra Avasta. So the paradox of this energy is that both planets are in nourishing zones, right? Puskara, while Saturn is at the same time weakened in Pisces, so it's like an enemy territory, dreaming state, elderly vitality rather than young adolescence or infant energy. So this is the medicine that tastes like the solution, ending, and nourishment that comes through the breaking and ending and Saturn delusions. So what to actually do not try to force new systems, structures, routines into existence right now. Saturn is asleep, so save your blueprint energy. Do not assume that the old systems will collapse on their own. Pluto is elderly, not omnipotent. You still have to do the dismantling. So you're gonna, it's not about wishful thinking, manifestation. You need to take action, right? Which leads into do not, spiritual bypass the grief of what's ending. Pisces will drown you if you try to transcend it instead of feel. So feel your feelings. Do not rush. For some of you, you may be okay starting things, especially if you're born with Saturn in Pisces. This may be your bag, your energy, your era. You're used to the weakened state, right? But it's reminding us to feel, to take time out, think about the transformation, continuing it or starting it. Do not rush it. So do document your dream blueprints, every vision you have right now of how it could be different. Write it down, voice it, memo it, record it in your phone, draw it. Saturn in Swepna is downloading. Don't wait until 2028 when it moves into Aries to remember what you saw. Record it. Be still as you can. Listen before you legislate and argue and stuff like that. If you are in any position of authority, parent, manager, teacher, elder, or whatever, Pluto in Savannah is testing whether you actually hear the people under your care or just hear your own echo and try and force people to follow your rules. So ask twice, repeat back what you heard, confirm before you act. Also salvage the seas. We're entering and just entered deep spring. We've had the equinox, Mercury's left retrograde a few days ago, a week ago now, but it's still in the retrograde post-shadow zone to the 20th of April, I believe. So salvage the seas, what worked in the old systems, your old routine. Don't just think I've got to destroy everything. Think about what you can keep as well as what you want to bring in new. What tools, what practices, what generational wisdom is worth keeping. This is the forensic work, not preservation but extraction. Keeping what's needed, taking the seeds, let the rest compost, die. So think about the things that you need to do to stabilize your emotional, physical and spiritual well-being, right? Rest like it's a medicine and don't see it as a failure. Saturn in Pisces is learning that stopping is not the same as quitting. Your body's limits are not a moral failure. Their design specs. Build your life, your routine according to the needs of your body, mind and soul. Honour the wound, honour the limp. If you're moving slower than you should, because Chiron has just not long gone direct in Aries, and the limp I talk about that because it's astrological placements or intricate. So if you ain't listened to the Chiron going into Aries, which is going to stay there to 2033, be sure to check that out. So maybe you're moving slower than what you wish that you would or than you thought that you should be moving, and that's ultra but the pardon that Sakra, the descent to the deep, requires a different walk, a different gait, slowing down. You're not broken. You're adapting to grounds and situations that the blueprints, that your life plans didn't account for. So it's about re-strategizing, coming up with new plans, having a backup plans, having plans for when you have your down days, where you can't work as much as you do on your full-blown energy days. And let the elder speak. Both planets are in Rajara, the elder state. This is not a youth movement right now. This is the listen to the ones who survived the last collapse and the craziness that went in their generations, and learn what they learned from, the past, right? While I'm going to talk about what really makes this Saturn Sextile Pluto special is the Spiritual Trinity and why this matters, right? So at the time when Saturn's making a sextile to Pluto, it's making a conjunction to Neptune, as I said, that's separating but still powerful, and Neptune is making a sextile to Pluto, which is ongoing. It's been going on for a couple of years. It's going to go on for a bit more, right? At 3 degrees orb, so to separate and to come out of the applying zone, it's going to have to get to 7-degree orb, or some astrologers say 10-degree orb, and then going to separating up to 10-degree orb. So as I said, it's going to be there for a while. But yeah, at the exact moment Saturn sextiles Pluto, 2 other sacred aspects are activated. Saturn's conjunct Neptune brings the mystical meeting structure, and Neptune sextile Pluto is the spiritual meeting transformation, right? So this forms a spiritual trinity. 3 aspects combining, intertwining, Saturn, Neptune and Pluto into a single conversation about power, spirit and time. This trinity says it's not too late. You're reading this thinking you've wasted time. I've been in that trap. I've wasted so much time saying I've wasted time. But yeah, saying to yourself that you should have claimed your power 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 6 months ago, 5 years ago, whatever. And that you're too old, it's too late, too far behind, that ship has sailed and you weren't on it. And basically, this trinity of Saturn, Pluto and Neptune calls bullshit, right? Saturn, the planet of time, karma, structure, discipline, conjunct Neptune, timelessness, dissolution, ending and spirit, also the planet of how we escape and get into addictive behaviours, right? Tells us that linear time is a construct. You didn't waste time. You were in the ocean learning to breathe underwater. That wasn't wasted. That was the preparation. And now Saturn sextile Pluto is giving you the opportunity for power transformation. It's saying use what the ocean taught you to, use that to reclaim your ground, get it back, Neptune sextile to Pluto as the final spiritual layer. That spiritual power is still power. The compassion you learned whilst you thought you were doing nothing, that's not weakness, that's a skill set. The surrender you practice whilst everybody else was climbing. You may be thinking, oh, everyone's done the podcast, the YouTube channels, the this, the that, the business, the this, that. There's no more room for me. But everyone's got their niche. Like I keep on saying, if you listen to me, everyone's got people out there who only buy the service from them or listen to them, So the surrender you practiced while everyone else was climbing, that wasn't failure, that was flexibility, allowing you to adapt whilst rigid structures cracked within you, because sometimes it's hard to get outside of our comfort zone, and maybe you had a lot of psychological, emotional and spiritual wounds to work through, and that's okay. We are allowed to go at our own pace, and this trinity offers 3 simultaneous permissions at the same time. The permission to reclaim what's yours, the power you gave away because you thought you didn't deserve it, the voice you silenced because it felt safer, the space you vacated because someone now seemed more qualified. Take it back, not violently, deliberately. Saturn sextile to Pluto means the door is open. As I said, walk through it. It's the permission to return what you stole as well. You know, maybe if you've been holding power that belongs to someone else, their voice, their territory, their life path, you know, their narrative, their story, give it back, not as punishment but as freedom, yours and theirs. The power you took to feel safe is the weight keeping you stuck. Let it go. It's a permission to start now. Not when you're healed, not when you're ready, not when you figured it all out. Now. The Trinity doesn't require perfection, it requires presence and doing and action. Saturn structures it, Neptune dissolves your excuses, Pluto transforms your relationship with what's possible. You're not too late, you're exactly in time. The ocean prepared you for this ground, so you know, go swim in that ocean. Walk through that door. Now is the time. So now I'm going to talk about the core wound of Saturn Sextile to Pluto. So the core wound that Saturn Sextile Pluto is exposing is the lie that power corrupts, so I must stay small and powerless to stay good. And what it protects is the fear of becoming the abuser, fear of visibility and criticism, fear of responsibility, and it manifests as self-sabotage before success, refusing opportunities, under-earning, hiding talents, making yourself the supporting character in your own life rather than the main character, you know. And this is not main character energy to ignore other people's needs, but this is main character energy to not be the backstage crew, you know, while everybody else takes center stage and is the main character in your life force energy. So the truth beneath all of this is that power is neutral. It's what you do with it that matters. Staying powerless doesn't make you good. It just makes you unavailable for the work only you can do. So for all of you who like the short version, that was it, right? And now I'm going to go in depth with the real talk and the vibe check, right? So let's get into it. So yeah, here's the full mug of tea. So some of you have been confusing powerlessness with goodness for so long you've forgotten they're not the same thing. You made yourself small, not humble, small, and called it spiritual. You avoided leadership, refused visibility, denied and declined opportunities, turned down money, and convinced yourself this makes you pure. It doesn't. It makes you unavailable. On March 28th, 2026 is when that excuse stops working. Some of you are in your 40s still waiting for permission to take up space. Some of you are earning half of what you're worth because asking for more feels greedy. Some of you are self-partnered, telling yourself you prefer it this way, whilst you're actually just terrified of the vulnerability that comes with being seen fully. But a caveat to that, as someone who listens to a lot of true crime podcasts, vet, don't ignore red flags, don't, vet carefully, but be open to the right people. So, yeah, some of you are in relationships also where you've made yourself the supporting character because the alternative, being the lead in your own life, feels too dangerous. Here's what you've been doing for years, maybe decades, You've been operating from a wound so old you don't even recognize it anymore. It's become part of you, but it's not you. Someone, maybe a parent, teacher, partner, society, taught you that power corrupts, that wanting things is selfish, that ambition is ugly, that visibility invites attack, that if you have power you'll become the person who hurt you. So you've stayed small, stayed quiet, stayed safe. You've made powerlessness your identity and called it integrity, and it worked. For a while, staying small kept you safe from criticism, from responsibility, from the possibility of failing publicly, but it also kept you safe from success, from abundance, from the life you actually want. You have been so busy protecting yourself from becoming the villain that you've forgotten you're allowed to be the hero. Not the loud performative hero, the real one, the one who shows up, does the work, takes the risk, and doesn't apologise for taking up the space they've earned. So this transit, Saturn's in Pisces, and this brings our attention to our spiritual structure, routines, how compassionate and disciplined we are in our mystical religious work, and in the sextile to, Pluto, and sextiles are opportunity aspects, the creative friction and productive tension, allowing us and wanting us to actually get more creative and giving us that itch like, oh, I need to make more space to maybe do that design I want, learn that skill I wanted to learn, right? And Pluto in Capricorn, it wants us to transform how we use and view power. It's a death, rebirth of our authority, how we empower ourselves, how we allow others to control us. And yes, I know some of you are in coercive relationships, so you have to leave if you are going to leave in a safe way, because the most dangerous time to leave a relationship like that is like, that's a dangerous time when you're leaving. This is when people get hurt. So, get the right organizations in, make the right plans and stuff, don't just recklessly put your life or anyone else's life in danger, but it reminds us about reclaiming our control. It's offering us something rare, which is the chance to claim your power without losing your soul. Not, power over, like domination, control, tyranny, ruling others, but power with, their ability, the agency, the creative force, working in unison with others, working in unison with all the different sides of your own personality, giving you the ability to shape your life instead of just survive it. But here's the uncomfortable bit. You don't and can't do this while still performing humility. You can't build a powerful life on a foundation of, I don't need much and I'm just grateful for whatever. That's not humility, that's a defense mechanism. Real humility knows its worth and asks for it anyway. The choice is this: keep playing small and calling it spiritual, or get honest about the fact that your smallness isn't protecting anyone, it's just keeping you stuck. So this transit won't force you to change, it will just make staying small so uncomfortable you will finally choose different. So I don't know, maybe you're used to people taking advantage of you and they just keep on asking and taking, and something in you just switch and you're like, no, I've got to stand up for myself. It's that kind of energy. It forces you. External events may finally force you to stand up for yourself. So now I'm just going to talk about the generational cycle context. Right? So Saturn Pluto contacts are generational events. They don't happen quickly and they don't happen lightly. This particular sextile offers a window that won't repeat in your lifetime in this exact form. The last major Saturn Pluto, which was the conjunction in 2020, and remember we had COVID then, at the 22nd degree of Capricorn, and that conjunction, catalyzed, motivated global power structure breakdowns, authority crises and systematic reckonings. Governments, institutions, corporate hierarchies, all exposed, all tested, all transformed. On March the 28th, 2026, this sextile is part of that cycle unfolding. It's a checkpoint, a moment where the collective work of power transformation that began in 2020 reaches a opportunity point. On a personal level, it's asking you to think what power, routines and structures and relationships in your own life collapsed during 2020 to 2021. What authority did you reclaim? What control did you release? And this sextile asks you, what are you doing with that transformation now? Are you building something sustainable long term, or recreating the same patterns under a new name? So now I'm going to talk about how the planets are talking to each other and what each aspect adds to, Saturn sextile to Pluto. So as I said before, Pluto sextile Saturn, or Saturn sextile Pluto, however you want to say it, is the strongest aspect at this time. It's 0, exact. And the sextile is the aspect of opportunity through effort, right? So, like trines hands it to you on the play and you may not, you miss the opportunity because it comes easily. While sextiles, you're going to have to take the opportunity by reaching out for it and taking what's offered to you, right? So think of it as a door slightly open, as I said, where you can see through to what's possible, but you have to push it open yourself. So as I said, psychologically, this sextile creates productive tension between your need for spiritual routine, which is represented by Saturn in Pisces, and your need for material power, real life power, which is represented by Pluto in Capricorn. So whether it's leadership, earning more money, status, things like that as well, or having an equal relationship, you're being asked to build something that honours both a life that's spiritually aligned and materially successful, not either or, both and, basically. So yeah, not either or, but both and. So both being spiritual and both, being materially successful in the ways of what success means to you, not what the world tells you spiritual and material success is, right? So every choice you make around power, authority, visibility and success is either moving you towards claiming your ability, empowering yourself, or keeping you stuck in performed powerlessness. There's no neutral, and of course, again, we have to be real. We live in the real world. Some of us live in countries where, to speak our voices is dangerous, but within that paradigm, you have people that will speak out. So, speak up, stand up for yourself, but be safe as well. And of course, often, sometimes the only place we can be truly free and ourselves is in our mind. And that doesn't mean to, let other people walk all over you, but I'm just trying to make you understand that I understand that in some nations it's dangerous to be empowered or to be seen as being empowered, but even within that, you can claim freeness and power in your mind or in the realms of what it's safe for you to oppose the system, to speak out about the system that is taking away people's power, right? So the challenge is claiming power can feel like becoming the villain, the nasty person, right? And the risk is staying small to stay safe whilst life passes you by, right? So that's the risk, losing yourself and not being yourself ever, just always being powerless. The gift is discovering that power with integrity is possible. So also we've got Saturn making a sextile square to the ascendant at the time of this sextile, and this is 136 applying. So your public image, how you're seen, how you present yourself, are all under Saturn's restructuring pressure. The mass is cracking, the performance can be exhausting, you're being pushed to show up as who you actually are rather than as who you think you should be, right? And then you've got the moon making a sextile square to Saturn as well, and your emotional needs are meeting structural reality. So your feelings want one thing and Saturn's discipline requires another. The tension isn't about denying your emotions, it's about not letting them dictate your decisions. You can feel afraid and act anyway. You can feel uncertain and move forward. Old patterns requiring change. Under Saturn's discipline, Saturn's quincunx to the South Node at 224 playing is reminding us that you can't keep doing things the way you've always done them and expect different results, and quincunxes, demand us to adapt, to be flexible, to change, not abandoning what works but evolving it, letting go of what's stale and improving on plans. Pluto is also making a conjunction to Juno at 517 applying orb, and this is where commitment meets transformation. So your relationship to partnership, contracts, and what you're willing to bind yourself to is being revolutionized. Like I said, some of you are not wanting to stay in that toxic relationship anymore. Juno asks, what are you committed to and why? Pluto demands the truth beneath the surface story. Relationships that are built on power imbalances are being called into question, where your compatibility or lack of it gets exposed, right? Uranus is trying to Pluto at 632 applying orb, again brings revolution to our transformation, so supporting transformation. It's a harmonious energy. Uranus wants breakthrough, innovation, sudden change, and Pluto wants depth, power, you reclaiming it, right, being empowered, a total metamorphosis, change, transformation. And the trine means that, you know, they're working together, Uranus and Pluto here, right? And this is the aspect that lets you revolutionize without destroying, right? So changing what needs changing without totally like burning your whole house down, basically. So we also got some separating aspects. So we've got Pluto making a square to Ceres at 0.06 separating. And this is when nurturing meets transformation. So how you care for yourself or others is being changed. Old caretaking patterns that drain you are dying. The ones where you give until you're empty and call it love. The ones where you sacrifice yourself and call it service. This square forces honesty. And Mars also makes a semi-square to Pluto, and this is 0.32 separating. So what this brings is action meeting power. So again, you know, supporting power, a lot of these aspects are. It brings minor tension and friction that pushes you to act with authority rather than just react to circumstances. Mars semi-square to Pluto says move now, not recklessly but decisively. Then we've got Pluto making a semi-square to Pallas, and this is separating, and this is when strategy meets transformation. So Pallas, you know, master strategy energy, wants us to tests our patterns, plans and wisdom by, putting them up against deeper power dynamics. And the strategies that worked when you were operating from smallness don't work when you're stepping into your power. So, it's reminding you that you need tactics. Plan, strategize, before you leave that toxic relationship, leave that toxic career, whatever it is, don't just fuss ahead. For some of you, it's protection, physical protection issues. Some of you, it's emotional and psychological, protection issues. And, for a lot of you, it's all three. So just be strategic, be gentle with yourself, with healthy self-care, and move forward, transform, right? And we've also got Saturn at the same time making a conjunction to Neptune while it's sextiling Pluto, right? And this is the mystical being made practical. Dreams are being given structure. Our spirituality is being anchored in reality because Neptune dissolves boundaries, Saturn builds them, and together they create sacred structure, right? So the Sun's conjunction to Saturn is our identity meeting discipline, who you are versus who you're becoming, being tested. And the Sun illuminates, Saturn demands accountability and reminds you that you can't hide from yourself during this conjunction. The mystical is meeting the transformational in opportunity, and this is being brought by Neptune sextile to Pluto, because we've got Neptune conjuncting Saturn while it's sextile Pluto. So Neptune wants transcendence, dissolution, ending and spiritual connection, and Pluto wants power, depth and psychological truth. And the sextile creates productive teamwork, collaboration, so Saturn and Neptune working together with Pluto, it's like a trinity of healing. It's really, really powerful. So now I'm going to talk about the transiting aspect patterns that are happening while Saturn is making the sextile to Pluto. So we've got a T-square between the South Node, Midhaven in Leo as well, the Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio, and Mercury Vista and the North Node in Aquarius. So, this reminds us once again that our past identity as the special one, which is represented by the South Node in Leo, crashes into our suppressed rage, which is represented by Lilith in Scorpio, whilst our future destiny, represented by the Moon's North Node in Aquarius, demands collective service over solo, individual glory. So this T-square forces choices: keep performing specialness to feed ego, or channel that Scorpio rage into Aquarius revolution. So, Saturn sextiles to Pluto wants us to change, wants us to revolutionize, right? So, Our career and public image, represented by the midheaven in Leo, is also tied to the old pattern. So, maybe you've been given recognition for being the standout, the exceptional one, but now, our Mercury and Vesta in Aquarius, the planets of communication and sacred work, pulls you towards being one voice in a collective chorus, and the tension comes because you can't be the special one while serving we not me causes, So to use this energy, use the magnetism of Leo to draw attention to Aquarius's causes, so the division in society, the inequality and all of that, fighting for causes that matter, rather than just, being all about yourself. And that doesn't mean forget you, but it just means about finding and accepting your role in the collective, and sort of like not putting yourself last and the collective first, but just seeing how working in harmony with others, the right others, because not putting yourself in danger or making others overstep your boundaries, but thinking about being the spokesperson, not the savior. It's not about saving everyone, having that savior complex, right? It's about speaking up for those that may be different to you, who are being persecuted and stuff, So the grand trine between Mars and Pallas in Aquarius and Jupiter in Gemini and the ascendant in Libra, all air, so it's pure mental social flow energy due to Gemini being there, right? So your revolutionary action and strategy represented by Mars and Pallas in Aquarius are once again being harmonized with your need to grow through communication, represented by Jupiter in Gemini in this grand trine, right? And your diplomatic presentation, the ascendant in Libra, are all being called onto question. So again, Libra can be people pleasery energy, not, prone to empowering itself. So this grand trine is allowing you the gift of being brilliant at translating radical ideas into palatable, easy to understand language, and at making revolution sound reasonable and easy for you to do if you put the effort in. With this sextile, right, you can strategize collective change whilst also making it socially acceptable, but the shadow is it's so easy, you may not push it into mastery. You can coast on, I'm good at this, without developing, I'm exceptional at this, So the opportunity during Saturn, Pluto, sextile, whatever you're good at, right? Use this trying to master your power, and, maybe if you have any sort of experience, you can present it in a way that's easy for others to understand, right? So you don't have to choose between being a revolutionary and being light. This trine lets you do both, right? So we've got a yard at 19% orb tightness between the South Node in Leo, Pluto in Capricorn, and Saturn in Pisces. So we've got Pluto, Saturn, sextiling as the hands, and the South Node is the apex, the peak, right? So the finger of God pointing at Saturn in Pisces, your spiritual structure, is your focal destiny and focal point. Your old ego patterns, represented by the South Node in Leo, and your transformed power, represented by Pluto in Capricorn, both awkwardly point to Saturn, saying build something mystical that's also material. The yod creates divine discontent. You can't rest in Leo's specialness, you can't rest in Capricorn's control. You're being pushed towards Pisces' dissolution that somehow holds form. This is the artist who channels divine inspiration but also meets deadlines, the mystic who pays their bills, the spiritual teacher who has boundaries. Both Leo and Capricorn are saying, Saturn, figure out how to structure whilst being formless, right? And then the Four's hammer, between the moon in Cancer, the ascendant in Libra and Saturn and Neptune in Pisces reminds us that our emotional needs represented by the moon in Cancer and your public representation represented by the ascendant in Libra both strike Saturn Neptune in Pisces like a hammer. And we're being, moulded, falls between what we feel, which is represented by Cancer, I need safety, belonging, home, and how you're seen, which is represented by Libra, which brings us balance, diplomatic, pleasant energy, and Saturn and Neptune dissolves and restructures at the same time. So the hammer asks, can you show your actual emotional needs publicly without performing balance, right? Can you let people see you're not okay while still maintaining your social grace? This is intense at 21% of the chart energy, focused on making your private feelings and public face serve your spiritual restructuring of your routine, right? You're being forged, molded, created into someone whose emotions and image authentically reflect their soul and other work, right? So bringing the mind, body and soul into unison. So we've got the two stelliums, the first between the Sun, Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. So our identity, discipline and mysticism are merged in boundless compassion. So you are the dissolved structure. Your sense of self includes both the container, the space, and its mountain. So this stellium says your identity isn't separate from your spiritual practice. You don't do spirituality, you are it. But you're learning Saturn's role, right? Even boundless oceans need shore lines. So the second stellium between Mercury Vista and the Moon's North Node in Aquarius is putting the spotlight on communication, devotion and destiny, which are, clustered together in revolutionary service. Your sacred work is your communication, is your soul's purpose. 90% of the energy says you're here to speak uncomfortable truths during Saturn's sextile to Pluto and communicate what the collective needs to hear. Not what it wants to hear, but what it needs to hear. Your devotion and destiny are identical. Be the voice. So it's calling us into leadership roles to stand up for what we see and know as truth, right? Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the Sabian symbols and how they're impacting Saturn sextile to Pluto. So Saturn is at the 11th degree of Pisces, and as I said before, the theme of this is men seeking illumination or people seeking enlightenment. It rules the lymph vessels of the foot, which is the drainage system that removes waste and maintains flow. So not men who have found it, right? That's what this means. They're seeking illumination, but they haven't found it. They're still seeking it, still searching, still uncertain, still in the process, and plural. Men, people, not man. And remember, these Sabian symbols were written over not exactly 100 years ago, but over 80 years ago. So some of the language, in terms of, instead of using people, not men, but I just quote them verbatim. So yeah, so this isn't about solo enlightenment. This is about collective seeking. Saturn at this degree says the structure isn't in the vibing. The structure is in the seeking. The discipline is in the showing up to the practice even when you don't feel illuminated, even when it's boring, even when you rather skip. Pisces wants the mystical high, the cosmic download, the spiritual experience. Saturn says, great, now do it every day for a decade. Illumination isn't a peak experience, it's a practice. The shadow of this energy is using, spirituality, seeking enlightenment as avoidance for real life, paying the bills. And it's not just about paying the bills, but avoidance of real life, right? Always learning, never doing, always preparing, never arriving. The gift of this is understanding that the journey is the destination, the seeking is the illumination. Every step taken towards the light, even when you can't see it yet, is itself sacred, right? And Pluto at the 11th degree of Capricorn, which has the Sabian symbology pheasants displaying their brilliant colours on a vast lawn, right? So this rules the left cerculate ligament. So this is the knee stability, the ability to stand whilst moving. So pheasants, not peacocks, pheasants, smaller, less ostentatious, showy and flashy, but still brilliant, still colourful, still visible, and they're displaying on a vast lawn. Not open space, no hiding. Pluto at this degree says your power doesn't need to perform, it just needs to be visible. You've been hiding your brilliance because you're afraid of seeming arrogant. You've been downplaying your talents because you don't want to threaten anyone. You've been making yourself small because you think humility means invisibility. But this symbol says display, not perform, display it, let what's actually there be seen. The shadow of this is performing humility while secretly craving recognition, downplaying your achievements whilst waiting for someone to notice and insist you're brilliant. The gift of this energy is understanding that visibility isn't arrogance, that showing your gifts isn't showing off, that the world needs your brilliance displayed, not hidden, right? So the priority Sabian symbols, which are all within 3% applying orbs in the aspects that I just told you, right? So the ascendant at the 25th degree of Libra, as I said at the beginning, that has the Sabian symbology of information in the symbol of an autumn leaf, which I said at the beginning is one of my favourite Sabian symbols, and this rules blood vessels of the renal cortex. So this is the kidneys filtering system. So an autumn leaf carries information, not instructions, not certainty, information. The veins of the leaf map its history, where water flowed, where nutrients travelled, what it survived. The leaf doesn't explain itself, it just is. And the ascendant in astrology is how you sing, how you present yourself, your interface with the world. And at 25 degrees of Libra, your public face is being asked to show the truth of your journey without performing it. Not the curated version, but the real one. The challenge is that maybe you've been performing balance whilst actually struggling, showing the version of yourself that looks together whilst hiding the parts that are still falling apart, right? And the integration is letting people see where you've been, not just where you arrived. And the veins in the autumn leaf is the map of your journey. And this is what makes you and your wisdom credible. So the moon at the 24th degree of Cancer, which is a woman and two men on a bit of a sunlit land facing south, and this rules the blood vessels of the digestive organs, how you process food and nourishment, So these people, one woman, two men, sunlit land facing south, the direction of warmth, light and growth. So this isn't about romance or triangulation, it's about choice. The woman has options, two different paths, two different masculine energies, two different futures, and she's standing in the light, not the shadow. This is your moon, your emotional needs, your sense of safety, your instinctive responses at the 24th degree of Cancer. Your emotional security is evolving from I need to be chosen to I'm doing the choosing. And the shadow is that maybe you've been focused on being chosen so much that you forgot you get to choose. You've made yourself available to whoever, sold up rather than being selective about who you let in. The light of this energy standing in the sunlit land means visibility. You're making this choice publicly, consciously, without saying. Facing south means you're orientated towards growth, not safety, leaving the comfort zone, letting go of the toxic habits, situations, thoughts and behaviours so you can, move in a new direction. As I said earlier, the Trinity of Saturn, Neptune and Pluto, right? So the Sun is in the 15th degree of Pisces, which has the Sabian symbol of our officer preparing to drill his men. So this rules the body part of the left cutaneous veins, and this is the surface blood vessels, what's visible under the skin. So an officer, not a dictator, an officer, someone with legitimate authority earned through competence, not just rank, preparing to drill his men. Not punishing them, not dominating them, training them, making them better. So the Sun in astrology is your core identity, your sense of self, your life force, act, the 15th degree of Pisces, your identities integrate in the role of the compassionate, the leader, not the tyrant, the person who demands excellence because they know you're capable of it, not crushed into it, you know. So you nurture people into that role and you nurture yourself into that role, demanding excellence, not in a perfection way, but knowing excellence as in, today I wake up and I can complete everything at 10, you know, 100%, but today I've woke up and I'm only at a 5, right? So my 100% is now 50%, but I'm going to reach that level, if you get what I'm trying to say. So the challenge of this is that maybe you've confused authority with authoritarianism, you know, dictatorship, do what I say now and all of that, and you've avoided leadership because you're terrified of becoming the person who hurt you, as I said at the very beginning. So to integrate this, remind yourself that you can lead, support others, you know, direct them, and you can have authority without being authoritarian, and you can lead without dominating, you can demand excellence without crushing your own spirit or other spirits, right? So now I'm going to talk about the Vedic layer, right, you know, and that chakras and all the things that are going on. So the sextile between Saturn and Pluto isn't gentle earth-water harmony. Saturn is the liberated, weakened in Pisces, the planet of structure, drowning in the ocean of dissolution and ending. So this doesn't mean that it's bad there, it just means it's not at its, you know, Saturn rules Capricorn, which is a cardinal earth sign, right? So it's like mutual reception because, you know, well, not 100%, but Saturn, you know, is in Pluto's in Saturn's sign, so that's a good thing. So that makes it not so weak, and it's in Puskara, as I said, Puskara, which means the drowning is nourishing. You know, the breakdown is the medicine, as I said earlier. The dissolution, the ending, you've been resisting, that's your upgrade path, right? And Pluto knows how to dismantle power structures and routines that are holding you back, because, you know, as I said, Saturn Capricorn energy gets a lot of stick sometimes because they can be a bit like, you know, about rules, but sometimes we need rules even in the creative kind of field, right, to get things done. You need a routine to achieve your goals, right? So Pluto in Savannah, that's Sakura, the listening star ruled by the moon, dismantles by hearing what was silence, right? So the collective is learning to listen to the screams that were coded as whispers for generations. Saturn in Uttar Bhadrapada, the latter blessed foot ruled by Saturn itself, is the slow, methodical limp towards the underworld gates, right? Not transcendence, but descent with dignity. And the sextile at 60 degrees, the opportunity, but Vedic astrology doesn't do easy aspects. Sextiles require work, right? So they ask, can you use the dissolution ending to build something real? Can you let structure melt and catch what pulls at the bottom, right? So, as I said, Saturn is in the Uttar Bhadrapada, and this means latter blessed foot, as I said, and this is the second foot, the one that drags, the one that limps. The constellation deity is Badayana, the serpent of the depths coiled at the bottom of the ocean. Saturn here limps towards the underworld, not with shame, with dignity. The limp is the blessing, the slowness is the medicine, right? And Pluto is in Savannah, and this means listening, and the constellation deity is Vishnu in his all-pervading form, and Savannah's power is to connect. The Samhana Shakti, and Pluto in Savannah transforms through listening, not speaking, not teaching, listening to what was silence, hearing the screams beneath the politeness, connecting the dots between isolated incidents that form a pattern of abuse. The sextile says the limping foot, which is Saturn in Uttar Bhadrapada, and the listening ear, which is Pluto in Savannah, are in conversation. The wounded can finally be heard and healed. the slow can be honoured, you know, so it's all about taking the time, not rushing ahead. Saturn's weakened here, but not weakened in the way that stops you. It's not weakened in that sense. Saturn is in Pisces, allowing you to disciplinedly go into the feelings, but you know, Saturn's there with the structure to make sure you don't get lost in the feelings, but it wants you to take time out to listen, to respect your limp, you know, the limping foot, to respect your wounds, to work with your wounds rather than let them hold you back, right? So, as I said, Saturn is in the Puskara Nambasa, in a zone of nourishment, the 10 to 13 degree of Pisces. So Puskara and, you know, debilitation, weakness is the paradox, right, in this. Saturn Sextile Pluto. I'm back on track. I went a bit off in my head, but I'm back from being away with the fairies now. So yeah, Puksara is where the malefic effects soften, where, you know, the malefic means the bad effects of Saturn being here in Pisces are softened, where hardship becomes fertilizer, right? So again, reminding us that, yeah, we go through pain and the psychological, emotional and spiritual and physical levels, you know, but we have to do our best to overcome, to manage ourselves using the chaos, the pain as much as we can as fertilizer, you know. So as I said, Saturn in Pisces is in enemy territory. So Saturn's crystalline, you know, rigid boundaries are dissolved in Pisces oceanic chaos, you know. So what does nourishing the libertation look like? Well, it's the therapist who finally admits they need therapy. It's the structure, the builder, the responsible one, you know, who learns that rigidity, being too hard and firm, was survival code from childhood, where flexibility got you hurt. It's recognizing that your discipline was actually dissociation, wearing a work ethic. And Saturn debilitated in Puskara means the thing you've been nourished by, you know, is the thing you've been running away from, right? Softness, formlessness, not knowing. The Piscean waters aren't drowning you. You're learning to float after a lifetime of believing you had to stand rigid or drown. And don't get me wrong, you have to have boundaries with some situations and people, but this is reminding you that at least in private you can be, and those who, you know, you can be yourself, and to find yourself and to not be so hard on yourself, right? Pluto has just exited its own Puskara zone, the 640 to the 10th degree of Capricorn. It's got the nourishment. So Pluto dismantled the right walls, now at 11 degrees Capricorn. Pluto in Vidaraha, Avasa, the outer state, which is the 6 to 12 degree in even signs. It's not dead, but it's finishing. And the sextile between them say Saturn takes the notes, you know, from the elder, which is Pluto in this scenario, and Pluto shows Saturn how to dismantle with precision instead of terror, you know, instead of like, oh no, the planet of karma, Saturn's here, no, run. So, you know, they're both teaching each other, they're both sextile and working together, and it's reminding us to work with our discipline and with our transformation, and to transform in a disciplined way, right? And to feel in a disciplined way, but to be open and to be gentle to feeling and going slow and not rushing, right? So now I'm going to talk about the Avasta, the age of the rune. So Saturn at the 11th degree of Pisces equals Vidrara, elder state in an even sign. Saturn is tired, not broken, tired. This is the 70-year-old revolutionary who's been fighting the same fight for 50 years and finally says, I need to rest, and that doesn't make me weak. Vidra Avasa means diminished strength, but it also means wisdom. Saturn in Vidrara doesn't give full results immediately. This is medicine on a slow drip, not a injection, you know. The collective won't see the revolution tomorrow. It will see it in 2028 when Saturn hits Aries and the infant fire reunites. Right now we're in the finishing phase, closing loops, acknowledging what didn't work. And Pluto at the 11th degree of Capricorn is also in the Vajravda elder in an even sign. So 2 elders in the sextile, both tired, both wise, both saying, we did what we could, now we pass the torch, right? So yeah, it's about letting go, it's about endings, but it's about new beginnings, even restarting the plans that you did what you did on, but looking at them in a new way. Saturn's also in Swapna state, which is half awake, and so it's in the dreaming state, right? It's not awake, which is Jagrat, but it's not asleep, which is Supta. It's dreaming, and dreaming planets give results through visions, intuition, and subconscious processing. Saturn in Swapna means the structure you're building right now isn't physical yet. It's the blueprint phase, right? You're not supposed to be constructing, you're supposed to be dreaming. The architecture, the mistakes you avoid in 2028 when Saturn wakes up, well, you're learning those now in dream state, where the consequences aren't permanent, but the lessons are. So it's about, bringing our mind to, sometimes when things are going slow, it's not because we're not making progress, right? It's about, dreams, visions, sleep time, getting enough rest so your body can heal you and you can dream and go to the soul world and be healed there, and then take practical actions when you're waking up. It's not just about, I heal only in dreams, but it's about being open to that energy as well. So the collective significance of this is the institutional hospice of the collective, right? So we're not building new structures and routines as a collective, really. We're attending the ones that are dying, making them comfortable or exposing them. There's a lot of exposing going on in the world right now, which I won't get into. Honouring what they give whilst acknowledging what they took. So, acknowledging their traditions and the structures and the systems and the governments and the rules and all of that took, but also honouring what they gave, It isn't about demolition, it's about a dignified sunset, a dignified ending, and governments that served the function once but became corrupt, letting them die whilst catching their archives, and learning from the mistakes so we can move forward as a collective without making them same mistakes, right? Economic systems that created wealth for some whilst distracting it from the money, letting them collapse whilst building safety nets, family structures and routines and traditions and religions that maintain order through coercion, letting them dissolve whilst creating chosen families. The medicine isn't burn it all down, the medicine is let it die with dignity, catch the seeds, plant them where the soil is richer, So as I said, what's being dissolved, what we need to let go of in a nutshell is power that requires someone else's powerlessness, right? Zero-sum domination where your gain is someone's loss. Spirituality that transcends the body's needs, bypassing dressed up as enlightenment, so looking after the needs of the body and your health, not just spending all day meditating while you're not taking care of anything else. Discipline that's actually punishment. Saturn is the abusive father, not the wise elder. So, being horrible to ourselves, having that negative self-talk. I don't want to say staying in toxic relationships, because sometimes from experience I know all the time, a lot of the time it's hard to get out while you're in them. It's a psychological and emotional thing and financial thing sometimes, and then the physical thing. It goes across all areas of your life. So it's wanting you to be gentle with yourself. If you are in a situation you're like, oh my gosh, I put myself here, I deserve this. No, at the time when you enter these toxic circumstances, you were doing the best you can at the time. A lot of the time people think they can help others, and a lot of the time we can sometimes, but if that person refuses to change and then they hurt you for love, then is it really love? So what is being forced and creative, is power that flows through collective strength, not individual domination or you sacrificing yourself. Solidarity over saviour complexes. So, helping people in the right ways, and spirituality embodied in material reality, mystics who pay their bills and set boundaries, and discipline that honours rest. Saturn learning that pauses are part of the structure, the routine, and authority that listens before legislating, that's Pluto in Savannah, and power without the ear is just violence. So systems designed for actual human bodies, not ideal worker drones, and because Saturn is debilitated, the body's limits are not data, and not failure. We've all got different limits, and we can't be just focused on production and hacking our way, and using the intellect but neglecting to look after the body. Saturn Sextile Pluto is asking us to transform, to change in a structured way, and boundaries that are flexible without breaking. Pisces is teaching Saturn that containers, spaces can be permeable and, flexible, open to change, but still be routines, So it's asking you to be gentle with yourself as you change, and be gentle with others and empower yourself in the right way, not by taking it from others, and also reclaiming your own power. So now I'm just going to talk about the duration and the key dates of Saturn Sextile Pluto, right? So as I said at the very beginning, it enters on the 19th of March at 10:34 GMT. It's a zap on the 28th of March at 12 minutes past 10 p.m. and it leaves on the 7th of April at 4:09, and then Saturn moves into Aries, as I said, but it remains in Ultra by the pardon at Sakura until May 2026. So Saturn enters Aries in 2028, this is when it wakes up, and retrogrades in July 2026, and Pluto remains in Savannah at Sakura for a long while. It goes back and forth, but it's there for a long while. Then it enters Aquarius around 2024, and it retrogrades again, and Pluto retrogrades in May 2026, and the critical window of this energy is between March 19th and April the 7th 2026, peaking between the 28th and 29th of March. So this is a 19-day window to do your rituals, to do your journaling, to do your thinking, paying attention to your dreams, and just doing those grounding practices and taking part in that healthy self-care as well. So when Saturn makes its sextile to Pluto, and Saturn's in Pisces, it's a bit done out, it's debilitated, it's not at its full strength, it's a bit burnt out. This relationship to authority is generational throughout our families, throughout our nations, right? And the way that you may collapse under pressure, that's not personal weakness, that's survival wiring, maybe for some of you from the generation that got executed, for questioning authority. And as I said earlier, not every person has the same freedoms, and that's what we need to fight for in the countries that have the freedom of speech still. And even though that's even been questioned, but it's still there, and we need to try and make that every human being, no matter what gender, religion, any of that, has a voice, right? So it's wanting us to question authority, thinking about the way you sabotage rest, because stillness equals danger, going back to the wiring of our ancestors who went, always on the go because there was always a threat, right? And, Pisces drowning Saturn, and Saturn is learning from Pisces for the first time in its sort of like burnt out, debilitated life, that the ocean is not the enemy. And Pluto in Capricorn has been showing you which power structures and routines were rotted from the inside, and Saturn in Pisces is asking, what will you build in the cleared ground, right? But here's the kicker. You don't get to build it yet because Saturn's in Swapna, dreaming state, so it's about manifesting. You're taking practical action, but being aware that some of your plans may, get slowed down. You may take 100 steps forward and 200 back, sort of energy, right? And Saturn's in dreaming state and in its outer state, Vijara, right, and Avasa in a debilitated sign. So this is the blueprint phase, the design, the planning phase, not the construction phase. And you can build, construct, but remember that what you construct may need to change, may need to get dismantled several times. So don't let that stop you from building, but just be aware. And the medicine isn't go build. The medicine is let the old structures finish dying, catch the seas, honour the limb, and when Saturn wakes up in Aries in 2028, then you build, right? So remember, you can still continue to build, but just remember what you build may get teared down, and that's okay, that's not weakness. So in terms of paying attention, what to pay attention to, even though I am going to give guidance for all sun, moon and rising signs at the end, right? So to personalize this transit reading for your specific chart, look at your moon, your rising and your current transits, right, to determine what's, how this transit will manifest for you. Your natal Saturn position, especially if your natal Saturn is in Pisces, Aries, Capricorn, or has a granddaughter, right? So granddaughter is the karmic knot, which is at the 320 degrees of a water sign, so in Bhavati, which governs Pisces, Elisa, and which is Cancer, and Jayasata, which is Scorpio, and it's also the 3.20 degrees of any fire sign, so Aswani, Aries, Magna. Yes, I'm trying to remember the signs. Leo and Mula, which rules Sagittarius, right? So 3.20 degrees. And the knot represents a difficulty that's well tied, a karmic issue from this life or past lives, right? So, you may have an uncomfortable and confused feeling during this Saturn Sextile Pluto. So be gentle with yourself. Also, whether you have any natal planets at all in the 10 to the 13th degrees in Pisces or Capricorn, or any other planets that are aspecting Saturn or Neptune in these degrees, right? As this can increase the effects of this transit for you. And all importantly, just remember to be gentle with yourself, right? That's the most important thing. So now I'm going to talk about the shadow work patterns that need confronting. So the powerless but good identity. So maybe you learn this young, and maybe you watched a parent use power cruelly. Maybe you were taught that wanting things is selfish, as I said earlier, that ambition is ugly, that good people don't ask for too much. So you made powerlessness your identity. In intimate relationships, maybe you made yourself the supporting character. You downplayed your achievements so your partner doesn't feel threatened. You earn less, dream smaller, take up less space. In your career and work, maybe you undercharge, underask, undervalue yourself. You wait for someone to notice your talent instead of showcasing it. You may stay in jobs beneath your ability. So in terms of the spiritual practice, maybe you use meditation to numb out instead of wake up. You surrender as avoidance. You made enlightenment about transcending your humanity instead of integrating it. In your relationship with yourself, maybe you can't make decisions without consulting everyone else. You don't trust your own judgment. You'd rather be wrong with everyone than right alone. The cost, you're teaching the next generation that power corrupts, that wanting things is selfish, that the only way to be good is to be small and conform, right? And Saturn and Pluto aren't interested in your stories. Saturn wants to see the structure you've built. Pluto wants to know what you're doing with your power. This transit makes staying small so uncomfortable that you finally choose differently if you feel it, especially if you got, Capricorn energy, Saturn aspecting the 12th house, or even the 8th, 4th house, or any aspects involved in Saturn, Pisces, Neptune, right? So, or the 10th and the 12th and the 8th house. I said that, yeah, anyway. So in terms of the spiritual bypassing pattern, as I said earlier, you may have gotten very good at using spiritual concepts to avoid feelings. Everything happens for a reason, you may say, when you're scared to admit you're hurt, I'm choosing to see this as a lesson when you're devastated. I'm surrendering to the universe when you're avoiding action. This isn't spirituality, this is avoidance, wearing a special costume, Real spiritual practice includes your rage, your grief, your fear, your desire your messiness. It doesn't transcend these, it integrates them. And Saturn in Pisces, Sextile Pluto in Capricorn is calling out every place you've been using spirituality as a defense, right? You know, every I'm not attached, that's actually I'm terrified of wanting things, and the correction is feel the thing, don't transcend it, feel it, cry when you're sad, rage when you're angry, want what you want without immediately spiritualizing it anyway. So, you know, maybe you caretake, look after others as an identity pattern. You've made yourself indispensable by being the one who's always helps, always gives, always shows up for others, and now you're exhausted and you can't stop, because if you stop being useful, who even are you? This is Pluto square Keris, you know, your nurturing patterns are being demolished. The version of you that overgives out of obligation, that mothers everyone whilst neglecting yourself, that's dying. And what's being born is nurturing that includes you, care that has boundaries, mothering that doesn't martyr, the ability to say I can't without guilt. The practice is start saying no. Notice who gets angry when you set boundaries. Those are the people benefiting from your lack of boundaries. So real relationships can handle your no. Energy vampire in relationships can't, you know. So, you know, some of you may have your attention brought to the perform humility pattern, you know, where you realise that your humbleness is you hiding, that you're not modest, you're scared. You then play your achievements not because you don't care about recognition, but because you're terrified of seeming arrogant, right? And real humility knows its worth and states it clearly. What you're doing isn't humility when you hide yourself, it's self-protection disguised as virtue. And the question is, what would it cost you to be seen in your full power? Who taught you that visibility is dangerous, right? The truth is that people who need you to be small will be uncomfortable. That is the truth. You're uncomfortable with your growth, they won't want you to grow. And it doesn't mean that they're bad people per se. It just means that, you know, we all have our comfort zone, and comfort people and comfort routine, and you changing that can be terrifying for them. And yes, sometimes people may assert power to keep you small, and you have to distance yourself and protect yourself, but as I said earlier, in the right ways, not putting yourself in danger. And remember that their discomfort isn't your responsibility. Your growth is what you're accountable for, right? Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the practical toolkit, what to actually do with this energy. So in terms of somatic practices, body-based integration and things, you know, somatic beliefs are that your body holds the pattern of whatever it is. So in the context of Saturn Sextile Pluto, it's the pattern of powerlessness in the way that you walk, you know, your posture, breathing, the way you make yourself smaller, and, you know, somatically you have to move it. So a practice that can help you is power posture, stand, feet hip width apart. You can do this alone in your room, whatever. Spine straight, shoulders back, aligned, not rigid, be flexible, take up the space your body needs. Notice any need, desire, urge to collapse, don't obey it. Do this for 2 minutes daily. Voice activation, practice speaking at full volume, read poetry aloud, sing in the car, let your voice take up space. In terms of boundary practice, your skin is a boundary, touch it, trace your arms, legs, torso. This is where you end and the word begins, you know. Practice, no, I can't make that meeting. This doesn't work for me, or that doesn't work for me. You can do grounding through your feet, you know, walk barefoot if possible, feel the ground, and remember, you know, to be embodied, you know, live it, be in your body, don't float, don't disassociate, you know, because we've got like Neptune involved, the Trinity, and that can make us disassociate. So in terms of focusing on your nervous system, you know, your nervous system has been trained for collapse, you know, anxiety and all of that. When power shows up, you know, you may freeze when opportunity arrives, you may sabotage, and this is a nervous system dysregulation, not a moral failure. So remember that. Be gentle with yourself, try not to overindulge in in intoxicating substances and stuff. Be gentle with yourself if you do, you know. You can also, try some practices. So the first one is vagal toning, hum or gargle or sing. And these activate the vagus nerve, which regulates your stress response. When you feel the urge to collapse into powerlessness, hum. You can also do pendulation. Notice what power feels like in your body. Activation, aliveness, maybe fear. Notice what powerlessness feels like. Collapse, numbness, familiar. Move between them intentionally. Find a memory where you felt good, Another practice, resourcing, where you felt powerful and it was good, not dominating, powerful. Go back to that memory in detail, feel it in your body. This is evidence that power doesn't corrupt. Co-regulation, find people whose nervous systems are more regulated than yours, be around them. Your nervous system will start to match theirs. This is how we heal together, not in isolation. Okay, so, the body speaks to us. So I'm going to talk about health, chronic patterns and integration. So the physical manifestations of things that can happen in the body during this transit is blood vessel issues, because of the ascendant influence, right? The blood vessels of the renal cortex filter waste, maintain pressure, and the Sabian symbol, that's where the ascendant is. So if you've been suppressing, bottling up your truth, your body might express it through circulation issues now, blood pressure fluctuations and kidney stress and digestive issues because of the Sabian symbol of the moon, right? So the blood vessels of the digestive organs help you process nourishment and your food, right? And if you've been taking in what doesn't serve you, relationships, jobs, beliefs, your digestion might rebel right now through bloating, discomfort and elimination issues. And of course there can be other conditions like IBS and all of that, and other pre-existing conditions that you have that can be worse right now, and through the influence, right, because it's applying right now and then it's going to be separated. So the separation of this energy will last like a month or two after the dates I've gave, right? You can also have surface inflammation because of the sun Sabian symbol, so the left cutaneous vein, so what's underneath the skin, rashes, hives, skin eruptions. Your body can make visible what you've been trying to hide. You can also have foot issues represented by Saturn, so the lymph vessels of the foot, clear toxins with movement. If you've been stuck, stagnant, refusing to walk your path, you can have foot pain, swelling, reduced mobility. You can also have knee instability, Pluto. The left circulate ligaments provide stability whilst moving. If you've been afraid to stand in your power while still evolving, you can have knee pain, just feel unstable. Just be careful with your balance. Try some yoga and Tai Chi if you can, any other balancing exercises as well. But ultimately what your body needs right now is more movement and less optimization. Stop trying to find the perfect workout. Just move, walk, dance, stretch. More rest, less pushing. Saturn's discipline includes rest. If you are, exhausted, burnt out, remember that rest isn't weak, it's strategic. You can't build, sustainable long-term practices if you're, are on chronic depletion, so work with your power energy. And this is something I've struggled with myself, managing my energy and stuff, so it's very important to get the right rest. Some days you may sleep more than others and that, some days you may eat better than others, get more exercise than others, but remember to get back on the bike of recovery after each failure. So, have more nourishment, less control, eat food that makes you feel alive, not just thin, eat food that makes you feel alive, not just thin. Control your body, but not in a way as punishment. Controlling your body in a way as punishment for being human isn't power, it's another prison, Being more present and less dissociation. Your body is the vehicle for your power. You can't claim power whilst disassociating from your body, so come back to it, feel your feet, notice your breath. So now I'm going to talk about the ultimate survival guide, right? The red flags and how to deal with this energy of Saturn Sextile to Pluto. So, you can have power dynamics in relationships where you need to stay powerless, for the other person to feel comfortable, try and leave them, try and bring the balance back in. There can be jobs that underpay you and you call it mission-driven work, situations where your visibility threatens someone else's position, people who love the version of you that stays small may get in the way of you empowering yourself, and environments where asking for your worth is labelled not being a team player. So in terms of authority and leadership, anyone who tells you ambition is ugly or wanting things is selfish, leaders who exploit dedication by framing exploitation as opportunity, authority figures who need you to defer your, to be differential, be submissive, compliant, give away your power to feel powerful themselves, situations where you're expected to lead without compensation or recognition, people who take your time and energy and don't give it back or want you to do things for free, bills have to pay, money have to make and all of that, it's the same in the Caribbean, so just watch out for that, people who undermine you whilst claiming to mentor you. In terms of visibility and recognition, spaces where hiding is rewarding and showing up is punished, communities that call visibility ego but in a visibility evolved, people who diminish your achievements immediately after you share them because, being visible is ego and being invisible and not sharing your achievements is evolved when it's not right. Environments where success is suspicious and struggle is noble. Anyone who needs you to fail to feel better themselves, In terms of spiritual practice, teachers who discourage material success as unspiritual, communities where boundaries are called not evolved enough, practices that numb you out rather than wake you up, using surrender to avoid taking action, spiritual language that bypasses actual accountability in terms of worthiness and deserving, chronic self-sabotage right before success, can't receive compliments without deflecting, being more comfortable giving than receiving compliments or anything else, feeling guilty about wanting things, believing you need to earn your right to resist. In your relationship with yourself, making decisions to please others rather than honouring yourself, not trusting your own judgment without external validation, being more concerned with others' comfort than your own integrity, chronic depletion, calling it dedication, burnout dedication rather than as it is, self-neglect, believing self-care is selfish, in terms of intimate relationships and hookups, watch out for partners who want you available but not visible, sexual dynamics where power is threatening, encounters where you diminish yourself, disrespect yourself to be chosen, situations where pleasure requires performing powerlessness, committed partnerships where partners need you to feel powerless for them to be comfortable, relationships where your success threatens the dynamics where you downplay achievements to keep peace, partners who can't handle you being the lead sometimes, relationships built on you staying the supporting character, business partnerships, watch out for partners who take credit for your work, collaborative dynamics that require you to stay small, partnerships where your visibility diminishes their position, business relationships where you are paid less for equal work, collaborators who need you grateful don't compensate you fairly. In terms of creative partnerships, watch for collaborators who dilute your vision to feel included, creative dynamics where you defer to avoid conflict, partnerships where your talent needs hiding to protect egos, projects where you do the work but they take the credit, In terms of being self-partnered or single, using singleness to avoid the vulnerability of being seen, telling yourself you prefer it this way when you're actually scared, avoiding partnerships because claiming power feels dangerous, making yourself unavailable whilst calling it boundaries, believing being powerful means being alone. So in terms of entrepreneurs, undercharging because asking for your worth feels greedy, hiding your expertise because visibility feels arrogant, waiting for permission to launch instead of just launching, devaluing your work to make clients comfortable, business models, built on martyrdom and self-sacrifice and disempowerment. In terms of your personal development, learning as avoidance instead of actually implementing what you learn by changing your daily thoughts and habits and relationship patterns and your mind chatter patterns and all of that, not looking after yourself on the mind, body and soul levels, collecting credentials without transforming, using self-empowerment to prove worthiness instead of claim it, staying perpetually becoming to avoid being. In terms of your spiritual development, using spirituality to bypass material responsibility, meditating instead of having difficult conversations, surrendering as avoidance, not practice, believing enlightenment exempts you from paying the bills, confusing transcendence with disassociation. In terms of holistic healers, healing everyone except yourself, undercharging because it's a calling, devaluing your gifts because they come naturally, giving away your power whilst teaching others to claim theirs, martyring yourself and calling it service. In terms of your body, ignoring pain signals because powering through feels virtuous, using exercise as punishment rather than nourishment, controlling food intake as a way to control feelings, disassociating from body sensations to avoid discomfort, chronic depletion that you call dedication, So yeah, watch out for all of those, right? So now I'm going to start finishing up with tips on how to deal with this transit, questions to sit with, guidance for all of the 12 sun and moon and rising signs, and then talk a bit more about the timeline, how to integrate this, and then do the conclusion. So yeah, so if you're still listening, thanks for that, guys. So how to deal with this transit: do claim your actual worth, that's what it's all about. Ask for that raise, charge the full price. State your value without apologising. If it feels uncomfortable, that's the pattern breaking, do it anyway. Let the relationship reorganise. Some connections will fade. Let them. The people who need you small aren't your people. The ones who can handle your full power are. Practice power in small ways. You don't need to quit your job or end your relationship today. Practice in micro doses. Say no to something minor. Speak up in a meeting. Take credit for your work. Build a muscle gradually. Track your wins, write down every time you choose power over people pleasing. Every boundary, set them. Every truth spoken. Your brain will try to convince you nothing's changing, but your record will prove otherwise. Sometimes we're doing the things. I've noticed my brain telling me that doing something while I'm doing it. So, just watch out for that, and, maybe keep a checklist and all of that, of you keeping your boundaries so you've got evidence, right? Get support, find a therapist, coach or community that gets it. You can't rewire powerlessness patterns alone. You need witnesses who reflect back your strength when you can't see it. Move your body, because power lives in the body, not just the mind. Walk, dance, lift weights, do yoga, whatever gets you back in your body instead of floating above it, do it. Feel your feelings, stop spiritualizing your pain away. Cry when you're sad, rage when you're angry, want what you want. Your feelings aren't obstacles to enlightenment, they are the path. Question your humility, the way that you're too humble. Every time you downplay yourself, ask, is this actual humility, being humble, or am I just scared? Real humility states the truth, false humility hides it. Set boundaries without apologising. No is the complete sentence, that doesn't work for me. Needs no justification. Practice saying it without the performance of explaining why. Claim leadership consciously. Lead the meeting, start the project, make the decision, not because you're power hungry, because someone needs to and you're capable. Display your gifts, show your work, say your expertise, let people see you can do it. Visibility isn't arrogance, it's service. People can't hire you, learn from you, or collaborate with you even if they don't know you exist. Don't spiritual bypass with spirituality. Everything happens for a reason, saying stuff like that. It's not a substitute for actually processing what happened. Feel it first, make meaning later. Don't make big decisions during peak intensity, especially through March 28th to the 30th, when daylight saving times change in the UK, in other places. This is the peak activation. Don't quit, don't propose, don't make irreversible choices. Feel everything, decide after. Don't gaslight yourself. Your discomfort with power isn't proof that power is wrong. It's proof that the pattern is breaking. Discomfort means growth, not danger. Don't perform transformation. Posting about your growth on social media isn't the same as living it. Do the actual work privately. Say if it helps others, not if it's for validation. Don't abandon your boundaries. When people get uncomfortable with your new boundaries, you'll feel pressure to apologize and retreat. Don't. Their discomfort is their work, not just your responsibility. Don't rush integration. You can't force this, Power claimed too quickly without building. Your ability to accept and use your power collapses. Let yourself be in the messy middle between who you were and who you're becoming. Don't mistake collapse for surrender. Giving up isn't the same as letting go. Surrender is active trust that something new will come along and you're doing the right thing, even though you may not have the evidence for it. Collapse, just giving up and not doing anything, is passive defeat. Know the difference. Don't compare your pace. Someone else's timeline isn't yours. This is your transformation. It moves at speed, not the speed you think it should. Don't stay where you're tolerated, If they can't celebrate your growth, they're not your people. Toleration isn't the same as belonging. Find where you're celebrated. Toleration isn't the same as belonging. Find where you're celebrated, not just permitted. Don't use caretaking as a defense. Helping everyone else isn't the same as helping yourself. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say, I can't right now, So in terms of questions to sit with and reflective prompts for integration, doing the work what Saturn Sextile Pluto wants you to do. And remember, these questions aren't meant to be answered quickly. Sit with them, let them work on you over the weeks. This transit is active, right? So on power, learn, where did I learn that power corrupts? Who taught me that? Is it actually true, or is it a story I inherited? What would I do if I knew I could be powerful without becoming the person who hurt me? What opportunities have I refused because accepting them felt too big, too visible, or too much? In terms of your visibility, ask yourself, what am I afraid will happen if people see my full ability and skills, right? Who benefits from me staying small? Who loses when I grow? What's the difference between humility, being humble, and hiding? Which one am I actually doing? In terms of, your worthiness, ask yourself, if I truly believed I deserved abundance, what would I ask for that I'm not asking for now? What story do I tell myself about why I don't deserve success, money, recognition? Where did that story come from? What would it mean to be paid what I'm worth without guilt? In terms of your spirituality, ask, am I using spiritual practice to wake up or to numb out? What feelings am I avoiding by staying above it all? Can I be both mystical and practical, both spiritual and material, or do I think I have to choose? In terms of, caring for yourself and others, ask, who am I nurturing whilst neglecting myself, and why? What would I change, if I included myself in my circle of care? What boundaries would I set if I wasn't afraid of seeming selfish? In terms of truth, what truth am I sitting on that I haven't spoken? What's it costing me to stay silent? Ask, where am I performing understanding whilst actually being confused or hurt? What would I say if I knew I wouldn't be punished for my honesty? So speaking feelings, saying I'm hurt or confused, when you need to. In terms of your legacy, ask yourself, what am I teaching people by staying small? Is that what I want to teach? If someone was learning how to be powerful by watching me, what would they learn? what would I want people to say about how I showed up during this transit, right? So these are very important questions for you to sit with, to acknowledge. Be gentle with yourself, write them down, ask them whenever you feel comfortable. Sometimes the answers won't come straight away. Just be gentle with yourself and remember that forgiveness, you can't change the past, you can only make a better future for yourself, right? So now I'm going to talk about the zodiac houses and how each rising sign experiences this transit. But you can also read, for instance, the Aries rising if you've got the moon or sun in Aries, and then if your moon's in Libra, for instance, read Libra as well. And if your sun's in Scorpio, then read that. Right, so you can, if you know your sun, moon and rising, read 3 of these or listen to 3, right? So to know where this Saturn Sextile Pluto hits you personally, find which houses contain the 10th to the 11th degrees of Pisces, where Saturn is, and the 10th and 11th degree of Capricorn, where Pluto is, or where Saturn or Pluto is in your chart, So yeah. Or what cusp, because it could be your cusp, the 10th or the 11th degree of either. So yeah, for Aries, sun, moon and rising, Saturn's transiting the 12th house, which is the house of the unconscious, the hidden spiritual, your shadow material, unconscious patterns and spiritual bypassing, using spirituality to avoid real issues, are being looked into. What you've been hiding from others or yourself is being, structured and organised into something you can actually work with. Pluto is transiting your 10th house of career, public image and authority, so your professional power and public reputation are being transformed. Old career structures, routines that are limited can die right now and are dying. Your relationship with authority, both external and the authority you claim internal, is being changed. So to integrate this energy, do private spiritual work represented by the 12th house, and this is preparing you for your public power, the 10th house, and what you're doing in the hidden realm, in private, when you're alone, is building the foundation, the start for visible leadership. You can't skip the shadow work and expect the career transformation. For Taurus, sun, moon and rising, Saturn is transiting your 11th house of community, friends and future vision. So your social circles, community belonging and hopes for the future are being changed. Who you call friends, which groups you belong to and what you're building towards are all under Saturn's audit, examination and review. Pluto is transiting your 9th house of beliefs, higher learning and travel. Your world view, belief systems and relationship to higher education are all being transformed. Old philosophies that kept you small but safe are dying. Your understanding of truth is evolving. So to integrate this, your community, 11th house is changing your beliefs. The 9th house transforms. The people who belonged in your life when you believed one thing might not fit when you believe something different. Let the friendships reorganize around your evolving truths. For Gemini, sun, moon and rising, Saturn's transiting your 10th house of career, public image, authority. Your professional life, public reputation and relationship with authority are being disciplined. How you are known publicly, what you're building career-wise and who you are in the public eye are all being, structured and changed, restructured rather. And Pluto is transiting your 8th house of intimacy, shared resources and transformation. So your intimate partnerships, shared finances and psychological depths are being transformed. Your power dynamics in close relationships, how you work with others, merge with them, combine with them, unite with them, and what you share are being revolutionized. So to integrate this, your public power, the 10th house is connected to intimate transformation, changes in your relationships, 8th house stuff, right? So how you handle power in private relationships affects how you use it publicly. You can't be vulnerable behind closed doors and authoritarian in public. The split won't hold. It's meant to change during this sextile, right? For Cancer, sun, moon, rising, Saturn is transiting your 9th house of beliefs, higher learning and travel. So your belief systems, educational plans and worldview are being changed. What you believe and why, what you're learning and how. where you going and whether it's serving you are all under examination. And Pluto transiting your 7th house of partnership, marriage and one-on-one relationships. So these are being transformed, your marriages, closest relationships and partnerships, and the power dynamics with your person or persons, what you're willing to commit to and who you choose to build with are all being changed. So to integrate this energy, what you believe, the 9th house shapes who you can partner with, the 7th house. And if your worldview is expanding, your relationships need to expand with it. Partners who need you to believe small things so they feel safe won't survive your philosophical growth. For Leo, Sun, Moon and Rising, Saturn is transiting the 8th house of intimate, shared resources, transformation. So your intimate relationships, shared finances and psychological depths are being changed. How you merge with others, what you share and how deep you'll go are all getting disciplined. So Pluto is transiting the 6th house, so that's the house of daily work, health, service. So your routines, work environment and health patterns are being transformed. How you serve yourself and others, what you do daily and how your body responds are all being, changed, revolutionized. So to integrate this, the intimate transformation, 8th house affects daily patterns. The 6th house, so the psychological work you're doing in private relationships, changes how you show up daily. You can't do deep emotional work and maintain surface level daily routines. The depth will demand new routines and structures, For Virgo, Sun, Moon and Rising, Saturn's transiting your 7th house of partnership, marriage, one-on-one and relationships. So your partnerships, commitments and one-on-one relationships are changing who you choose, who you commit to and how you partner. All under Saturn's discipline will change. Pluto is transiting your 5th house of creative expression, romantic connections and your relationship with pleasure and joy. And these are being changed, so how you play, who you date and what brings you happiness are all being changed. To integrate this energy, committed relationships can be affected by your creative and romantic transformation. If you're discovering new sources of happiness and joy, aliveness and creative power, your partnerships need to accommodate that, so you can have conversations. Make sure you practice active listening, because relationships built on who you used to be won't fit who you're becoming for some of you, and you may choose to let them go. For Libra, Sun, Moon and Rising, your daily routines, health practices and service work are being changed by Saturn transiting your 6th house. How you spend your days, care for your body and show up for work are all getting changed. Pluto is transiting your 4th house of your home environment, family dynamics and emotional foundations and routines are all being transformed, so where you live, who you call family and what makes you feel safe are all being changed. To integrate this energy, because your daily health, 6th house is connected to your emotional foundation, your inner home, 4th house. You can't have sustainable daily practices if your home life is chaotic. You can't build a solid emotional base if your daily patterns are depleting your energy, so both need to change together. For Scorpio, Sun, Moon and Rising, Saturn's transiting your 5th house, so your creative work, romantic life and relationship with pleasure are all being changed. How you play, who you date and what brings you joy and makes you feel alive are all being changed. And Pluto's transiting your 3rd house, so your communication style, your sibling relationships and daily learning are being changed. So how you speak, what you say and how you process information are all being revolutionized. So to integrate this energy, creative joy and happiness requires authentic communication. You can't create from your depths if you're still speaking in safe, sanitized language. Your art, your creativity, your pleasure, your aliveness needs your voice to match, raw, real, unedited. For Sagittarius, Sun, Moon and Rising, Saturn is transiting your 4th house of home, family and emotional. So these are all being changed, so where you live, who you live with and what makes you feel secure or under the spotlight. And Pluto is transiting your 2nd house of money, values and self-worth. So your finances, value system and sense of worthiness are all being changed. How you earn, what you value and what you think you deserve, changing. To integrate this energy, your emotional foundation, the 4th house, affects your financial capacity to earn and all of that 2nd house. So if you don't feel worthy at a foundational level, within, you will sabotage material abundance. So healing your family of origin wounds around your worth is connected to earning what you actually are worth now. So look into those, right? Be more authentic, letting go of, Saturn Sextile Pluto is wanting us to let go of what's holding us back. For Capricorn, Sun, Moon and Rising, Saturn's transiting your 3rd house, so your communication style, sibling relationships and daily learning are being changed. How you speak, what you say and how you think are all getting disciplined by Saturn right now. Pluto is transiting your 1st house, so your sense of self, physical body and how you present to the world are being changed. Who you are, how you look and what you project, right? So how you communicate, 3rd house, needs to match who you're becoming. Your words need to evolve with your self-concept, so speak from who you're becoming, not who you were. For Aquarius, Sun, Moon and Rising, Saturn's transiting your 2nd house of finances, value systems and the sense of worthiness. So how you earn, what you value and what you think are all, getting disciplined and what you deserve and what you think you deserve as well. And Pluto's transiting your 12th house, so your shadow material and conscious patterns and spiritual depths are being transformed. What's hidden, what you avoid and what you're scared to look at all being revolutionized. So to integrate this energy, your material worth, the 2nd house, is connected to your unconscious worth, the 12th house. So if you have hidden beliefs about not deserving abundance, they will sabotage your earning capacity. So the spiritual side of work directly affects your ability to receive materially, so watch out for that. And for Pisces, Sun, Moon and Rising, Saturn's transiting your 1st house, so your sense of self, body, physical body and how you show up in the world are all being changed. Who you are, how you present and what you claim as yours are getting disciplined. So Pluto's transiting your 11th house of community, friends and future visions are being transformed. So who your people are, who they're not, what groups you belong to and what groups you don't belong to, and what you're building towards are all under the spotlight right now. To integrate this energy, your personal identity, 1st house shapes communication and belonging, which is represented by the 11th house. And as you become more yourself, 1st house Saturn, your community will change. 11th house Pluto, the groups that fit the old you won't fit the new you, so let the friendships reorganize, and let things end so you can be your authentic self. So to finish up, I'm just going to recap the timeline and when things peak and how long it lasts. So March the 19th, Saturn and Pluto sextile enters the orb of 1 degree. The door opens, you start feeling the pressure to step into your own power. Opportunities show up that require you to be bigger than you have been allowing yourself to be. On March 28th, the Saturn-Pluto sextile becomes exact and peak intensity, maximum pressure, the choice point, everything we've discussed reaches maximum activation. This is the moment you decide or claim it or collapse it, right? On March 29th, the daylight saving time begins, as I said. The clocks change, time itself seems to bend. The external time change mirrors the internal change, right? You're being asked to adjust to a new timeline, one where you're powerful and it's okay. On April the 7th, Saturn Pluto, the sextile leaves its orb and widens beyond 1 degree applying, but like I said, this energy is going to go on to like June because it has to separate up to 7 to 10 degrees depending. I believe it still influences us up to 10 degrees separating, so this is like going to last for a while. So the doors start to close, the opportunity window narrows, what you learn and you need to implement now, and insight without action is just entertainment. Remember that. Also be gentle with yourself. So there's 19 days of exact influence from March 19th to April the 7th. but realistically you'll feel this building a week before mid-March and integrating for weeks after through April, May and June. There's that window is just peak activation. So to integrate this energy, phase 1, the recognition phase, March 19th to the 27th, you may start seeing patterns clearly, the powerlessness, the performed humility, the places you've made yourself small, don't act yet, just see it, let the recognition land, write it down if you need be. Phase 2, the crisis choice, March the 28th to the 30th, this is the maximum discomfort. You will feel pushed to choose, don't make irreversible decisions right now, but do you feel everything fully? The crisis is the medicine, remember, then that chakra energy. And phase 3 is the action stage, March 31st onwards, right to April the 7th. This is the window for action. This is when you actually do something different, have the conversation, set the boundary, ask for the raise, claim the space, whatever you saw in phase 1 and phase 2. Now you act on it. Phase 4 is the integration from April the 8th onwards. The transit is technically over, but work continues. Did you act? Are you maintaining the changes? Are you collapsing back into the familiar pattern? This phase determines whether the transformation sticks. So to, really integrate this energy, what success will look like is by the time this transit is complete, mid-April 2026, right, they're playing, or right up until the end of June. Successful integration means you've claimed something, space, money, authority, visibility, something you were scared to claim before. You don't have to be perfect using it yet. You just have to claim it, right? You've set boundaries with someone about something and you don't apologise for it. The boundary may feel uncomfortable, that's fine. But it's there, right? And you've spoken your truth to someone who needed to hear it, even if your voice sucked, even if they didn't like it. You said the thing that needed saying. You've let go of something, a relationship, a pattern, a belief that was keeping you small. You didn't cling to it out of familiarity. You released it because it was time. You trust yourself more, not perfectly, not completely, but more than you did before. You're learning that you can handle power without becoming corrupt. You can be visible without being destroyed. You can, lead without dominating. You're comfortable with being uncomfortable. Growth feels like this, changes feels like this. Transformation isn't supposed to feel safe. It's supposed to feel like outgrowing your old space and container and world and environment. You're learning to tolerate the discomfort of becoming your authentic self. The truth that's being offered to us all is power doesn't corrupt. The fear of power does. The avoidance of power does. The performing of powerlessness while secretly resenting it does. You're being offered the chance to step into your authentic power whilst maintaining your integrity, to lead without dominating, to succeed without exploiting, to be visible without performing, to have authority without becoming authoritarian. But first you have to stop pretending that staying small is noble. You have to be honest about the fact that powerlessness isn't protecting anyone. It's just keeping you stuck, So the choice is yours. It has always been yours. This transit just makes the cost of not choosing too high to ignore anymore, So, sit with yourself, be gentle with yourself. Of course, when we were children, we didn't have the power. As adults, as I said, we may live in countries where we have to be covert and stuff, but we all know the brave of every country, nation are the ones that speak out. And sometimes, I don't want to actually say that. I don't want to finish with that, because sometimes being brave is not doing anything, because, violence can light stuff out and the light, but just remember, ultimately, the opportunity is being offered, not given, to reclaim your power. So it's up to you, When you claim your power with integrity, doors open, and it's your choice to push through or stay hidden. But claim your power in a safe way, in a way that doesn't do harm to yourself or others. So I'm Imani, your holistic astrological life coach, and this has been my take on Saturn Sextile Pluto 2026. Take care and see you next time.